Dan, talk to us about your experience at the Tater Serrano press conference.
Mm-hmm.
Does this have a big fight feel for you? Have you ever been to a
man.
women's fight that felt this way?
No, I have not. I was just on an earlier show, and I was just saying how this felt different. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us here have probably been to a boxing press conference. They're pretty boring. They're very procedural. Nothing ever happens at them. Very rarely does news come out of them. Very rarely does it have a feel for it, a big feel, because it's simply just a bunch of people talking up at a podium. And this isn't a weigh-in. This isn't fight week. This is the fight's months away. But there was an energy inside Madison Square Garden yesterday because of the history of this fight. I mean, on one side you got Katie Taylor, an Olympic hero. All she knows is winning. She got a whole country behind her. She's undisputed at lightweight. She's pound for pound number one or number two, or wherever you have her, definitely top three. Then you got Amanda Serrano, who also is like the Manny Pacquiao of women's fighting, 8-7 division world champion, best body puncher in boxing, the most active puncher in terms of thrown and landed in women's boxing today, all of her titles. Then you throw in the fact that there's Jake Paul involved and there's Eddie Hearn involved. They got on the stage. They did like a funny face-off. There's a lot of buzz for this fight, and I believe it's at the right place at the right time. Women's boxing, I thought, had a great 2021. They're going to have a great 2022. I expect there to be a raucous crowd at MSG. I mean, I'm pumped for this fight. I really am. And in addition to all the hype and all the accolades on both sides, all the history, let's keep in mind this is the first women's fight to headline a card at Madison Square Garden. And we all know how long they've been putting on cards at Madison Square Garden. But with all that being said, all the history, all the accolades, Jake Paul, Eddie Hearn, I just think it's going to be a damn good fight inside the ring because of Serrano's aggressiveness. Like I said, she throws 75 punches around, and that's in 2-minute rounds. So if you threw in an extra minute, she's over 100. She lands 21 punches around. It's the most of any woman active today. And you got Katie Taylor, who is it doesn't throw as much punches, but she's very precise. I mean, this is a can't miss fight.
Oh, right. I want to ask you, I mean, there's no way for us to know, but if you were to guess, how do you think the crowd's going to look? I've heard people saying it's going to be dominated by the Puerto Rican crowd. Some people say now the UK is going to show up. What type of atmosphere do you see?
Oh, it depends, right? It depends on the traveling restrictions. If everything's open, which I hope so, and it's certainly trending that way, I think
it is.
I'm not Anthony Fauci here, but I think that the Omicron is down almost 90% in New York City, last I checked. But if it's a UK thing, I mean, Katie Taylor's going to have a ton of fans in there, and they're loud. They're very loud, but also, Amanda Serrano is from New York. She's going to have a lot of, Puerto Rican fans there too. It's going to be a great crowd. And I think it's going to be a fun crowd because it's a celebration. At least in my eyes it is. And that's what a lot of the talking points were yesterday from everybody up on the dais was this is a celebration because they're getting a lot of money. It's the biggest purse, I believe. It's over $1 million for each woman, at least in boxing. I think, Ronda Rousey made, $5 million, I think, in the UFC. I'm a big fan of women's boxing. I love it. I think it's since the divisions aren't as deep as men, we get these matchups more often than not. Very little marination. We usually just get them, and they're usually fun fights. So I'm all for this fight. I feel like maybe I'm over the top excited for it, but I can't wait.
Joe Habib, talk to us, brother. What do you think of the press conference, the hype around? Have you ever witnessed this, for a women's fight?
No, I haven't. But I'm only going on by my own personal feelings. I haven't been excited as much as this for a women's fight. I can't remember the last time I was. But my only concern about this is the fight's going to be on DAZN, and I'm wondering if a lot of casual American boxing fans will be able to see this, because a lot of people don't have DAZN. A lot of my friends don't have DAZN, right? Mm-hmm. And that's my only concern. I know internationally, over in the UK, I know a lot of people are going to get behind this fight, and I know it's going to do a phenomenal live gate. And I do love the fact that they got ahead of this and they did a press conference early for this. Mm-hmm. And that shows that they're trying to push this fight right out of the gate, right from the jump. They're not waiting. Sometimes a fight gets announced and they don't really promote it and push it. It seems like they're going to be making a concerted effort to push this fight. And like I said, I'm really behind it. Dan, I got to ask you, was there a lot of people there? Did you see a lot of buzz around the streets? I mean, what was the atmosphere like over there?
Well, not really in the streets, but I'll tell you what, HBO Real Sports was there doing a segment on not just Jake Paul, on Amanda Serrano and the magnitude of this fight. That shocked me. You know,
that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
David Scott, you know, he doesn't have a great suit. I was like, whoa, this guy isn't boxing media, because boxing media guys don't wear nice suits like that. But it was a buzz. Like, there's not a lot of media in New York anymore. Media, I feel like they've all moved out. I feel like I'm one of the only guys there, but yeah, there was definitely it was different. Like, it felt different. Like, it felt like more of an event. You know, having Jake Paul there certainly helps. And I said this earlier on another show as well, is like, you can say what you want about him. You might not like him boxing. You may not like his personality, but I think he's going to be a good promoter. I mean, if you're a boxing fan, you should want him in the promoting game, because this guy can hype up a fight. This is what he does. Like, I was listening to him when he was talking to the HBO Real Sports guy. He said, listen, he even said himself, he goes, I don't know how much longer I have in boxing. He's like, maybe one fight, maybe 3, maybe 5. He goes, but I think I have a pretty good idea of the boxing business. And as we know, it's not that easy to get into the promoting game. I mean, we see 50 Cent come and go. We've seen a lot of guys think they can do it and then fail, but I think he's doing it the right way by kind of just putting his toe in a little bit. Women's boxing has one fighter. I talked to Nakisa, who is the head of MVP Promotions. That's Jake Paul's promotion company. I said, you guys can are fighters? And he said, you know what? We're taking it very slow. We have a lot of offers. We have people coming to us. They want to fight under our banner, but we're kind of just like checking out the lay of the land. So I think Jake Paul, the promoter, that intrigues me a lot more than Jake Paul, the boxer.
Boxing Wave, talk to us, brother. Are you going to go to this fight? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to the fight. I already expressed that. I think so much that I want to say about it. I've been speaking on this fight for a little while now. It's definitely my favorite fight, most anticipated female fight ever. And I'm definitely going to go. Really disappointed at the fact that they're sharing the same date as the Shakur Stevenson Oscar Valdez fight. I really hate that, because Shakur Stevenson is probably my favorite young fighter that's going to come up. But doesn't matter. I'm going to go to this fight. I'm expecting, as far as the crowd, I'm expecting the same kind of UK support that we got at the Joshua Ruiz fight in New York. I went to that fight.
That was lit.
And it was mostly, it wasn't New Yorkers there like that.
No, that was a wild night.
Yeah, that was a wild night. I was up there. I was close to the ring. It was a crazy experience. I just think that I was thinking about the DAZN thing as well. You know, I think, you know, as much, and I like DAZN. I've been a subscriber since the very beginning. It's still growing. I can't lie and act like, you know, I'll go outside and actually, oh, the fight's going to be on DAZN. Every time I say that to people, they're like, the what?
Yeah.
DAZN. The
Right?
what? Like,
It's
you
a
know,
shame. If it was on ESPN, it would do phenomenal.
exactly. It should be on ESPN. If not Fox Sports, it should be on ESPN.
You see what I'm saying,
everybody
right,
would see
Wave?
it.
You see what I'm saying about that DAZN thing, right?
Yeah,
That's
but the
gonna-
zone's got the deeper checkbooks in order to pay them.
Yeah, and
I mean,
they have
I'm a
to.
big supporter of women's boxing, but I mean, I don't think the fight will generate. Maybe it will, but I could be wrong. But it might not generate them, you know, getting a $1 million purse. That might be more of a you know, hey, we're going to give you, like, this is what we think that you deserve.
Yeah, it's an
but who
investment.
knows? What
Yeah.
part of New York City are you in, man?
I'm in Harlem.
Oh, nice. I'm in Astoria.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, great fight. I'm excited for it. I'm definitely gonna go see it live. You know, I don't know how well. And the thing about Jake Paul, as time goes on, I'm starting to like him as a promoter, because he's talking about money. You know, he's talking about the purses and what boxers should be getting paid more. I kind of like what he's saying, you know, because he's not like the typical promoter. And
Right.
you know, and I'm not going to go into politics at all, but again, like, when politicians, like, I think more politicians, that they're not going to be politicians in the future. It's going to be more people that's going to be joining up, that's going to be trying to run for whatever, mayor, governor, that are not actual politicians. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's part of the reason why Trump won, you know? So anyway, I think Jake Paul is just different, and I like what he's saying. And I think that because he's not an actual not a politician, a promoter, I think it's good.
So basically, what you're saying is Jake Paul is going to be the next president of the United States.
And I mean, yo, at this point, I don't even know.
No, I like the guy. I was able to interview him. I was able to talk to him yesterday, and he's definitely saying the right things. He had a great prepared speech for his his first moment as a promoter. This was his first time talking as a promoter, not as brash, fighter. And he respected Ann Wolf. He brought up all the women of the past. I think he's doing something really smart. You know what he's doing? He's kind of, I wouldn't say distracting people from the fact that he made $50 million last year, but he's doing a good job of making us talk about this and making us talk about Dana White, UFC fighter pay. And by the way, I just made $50 million last year in fights that were not that exciting. So I think he's a master of the spin. He's a master of promotion. He's going to be a great promoter if he really sticks to it.
Dan, he seems to be really good with the press too, huh? He seems very friendly.
Everyone was swarming the guy. It was insane.
Yeah. And he answers all the questions. He doesn't push anyone away or anything.
He was getting pulled in a million directions. He gave everyone time. He gave everyone everything they had. I have something coming out with him on Sunday where I had him read mean tweets about him. It's going to be epic. I just edited it. Great. Yeah, it's going to be really funny. He's a good sport.
I'll pick up where people left off. I'm not jumping on the Jake Paul train around this press conference. I've been saying for a few months now that I think the guy is good for the sport. I think he's talking about necessary things as it relates to the worker capitalist relationship with the UFC and the fact that those guys are very, very exploited if you look at it in terms of their surplus value of what they generate and what they get to keep from what they generate. I haven't had a problem with his own matchmaking as it relates to his own career. Mm-hmm. You only need to look at Nico Walsh to see that isn't much wrong with the way Jake Paul has been handling the first few fights of his career. You don't even need to look at Tommy Fury. Look at Nico Walsh's record. Look at who's been fighting, who he's been fighting. Look at the primetime television slots on ESPN, mind you, not on pay-per-view, on ESPN that Nico Walsh has taken away from guys, even in Top Rank, that I think are more well-deserving, like Xander Zayas, amongst many others. So I could go on that. I'll say that I also agree that I think he's done a very good job with Serrano. He's given her a public profile that she would have never have had. She's coming off of fighting on NBC Sports for about $30,000 to $40,000 prior to signing with her, to co-headlining pay-per-views and fighting in front of capacity crowds in NBA, NHL size arenas. So you cannot knock that. Now, this is where I'm torn about that weekend. I mean, I actually really want to see Valdez Stevenson. But obviously going to a fight in Vegas, which I've done before, is a lot more difficult than jumping on the D train and getting off at 34th Street and walking to the Garden, right? For a fight that I can probably get credentialed to cover. But I do want to see Valdez Stevenson. And as it relates to ESPN not having the pockets to pay for a fight like this, they proved with this Fury White fight that when they're motivated, they have the fucking pockets. They paid $41 million on a purse bid for a fight that may not generate $41 million. So they're willing to take very big, you could even call them calculated risks. Why they haven't done so with women's boxing is very clear to me. Bob is prejudiced against women.
Those comments he made were wild.
If you're willing to drop half of 41 million on Fury White, but these female fights are too expensive for you. I'm not really understanding that math.
Well, he wasn't really in the bidding for this one. Neither of these two women have anything to do with Top Rank.
I'm not saying that he is, but he's also had the chance to make big fights for Michaela Mayer and others that are his fighters, and he hasn't pulled the trigger on them.
Let's see what he does for Bumgarner Mayer.
Yeah, right. And he's been criticized for the handling of Michaela Mayer's career and other female fighters that he's worked with. So that I don't think that it's an issue of pockets. I think it's more of an issue of motivation. I think it would have done decent on another platform, but as a boxing fan that pays my $100 a year to DAZN, I'm also not really complaining about it. And I won't belabor the Irish point. I was just asked in the chat by Christine and by Nancy, one of the two, I think it was Nancy actually, about how I see kind of the ratio. I think Irish people are going to turn up. She's a superstar on Ireland. She's got major endorsements over there. I actually work with Irish teachers at my school, and they're huge fans of hers, and they're not even really big boxing fans. So I think she's going to bring out kind of the mainstream Irish sports fan